across our university city and South Cambridgeshire.
Cambridge 105 Radio.
Welcome to the Women's Sports Mix. I'm Amy Gray.
And I'm Alex Elbro.
And we chat about all women's sports and activities in Cambridge and South Cambridgeshire. We follow the results of our local teams, and we do want to feature as many sports as possible. So if we're not talking about your favourite sport or what you play, what you like to watch, do contact us. You can email amy@cambridge105.co.uk, and you can follow us, and you're welcome to DM us on Instagram. We are women's_sports mix. And you can let us know if you're enjoying the programme as well, because it is our first season, so please do tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, we need that feedback, everybody. We're like anyone else, we love to know what you're going on. Now, we're supposed to be hearing about korfball today from Liv Harcourt, head coach at the Cambridge Tigers Korfball Club and Youth Development Officer for Cambridgeshire Korfball Association. However, she messaged me late last night from A&E as she's ruptured her Achilles playing instead of coaching. So I'm going to say there's a moral in that. So heal soon, Liv, and we'll look forward to speaking to you about korfball in the new year. So we decided it'd be good to hear the interview we did with Nicole Hawksworth from Milton Colts FC again, as she was such an inspiration, wasn't she?
She was. That was a really good interview. And if you've got maybe your daughter's looking to get into football, maybe you haven't done that before and you're thinking, I wonder how that works, give that a listen, hear how Nicole is doing things at Milton Colts, and get well soon. Good recovery to Liv. So we'll also have on the show Cambridge United women. They travelled to Bournemouth in the Plate, but their run ends. They got to the quarterfinals, but it was a 2-1 loss. And we'll be speaking to United Women's Team Secretary Liz Pamplin, and we'll also have it's the result for the Eastern Region League Shield that Cambridge City women were in the other week, and we'll have the latest from Histon ladies.
Excellent. And later we're going to be hearing how Amy is getting on with her running. Now she's completed the Couch to 5K. My lack of running, we'll talk about that as well, and how we're both doing in the Fancy Women's Super League.
Not well.
No, better than I was, I'm going to say. And we need to talk merch.
And we will be talking about those great wins for Cambridge Kodiaks. We'll be speaking to Christina Ashley about those games. And the fog and the Zambonis as well. There's a little bit of that in there as well.
A bit of everything. Yeah, don't worry. We've got it all covered here. So, are we going to talk about Bobble's hats first?
Well, if you're listening to a sports podcast, obviously you're going to want to hear about bobble hats.
Well, you are, but also you're going to want to hear about it because it's very cold and it's wet and rainy out there and it's very cold. So bobble hats are an obvious choice. And we're doing all right on those, aren't we?
We are. I'm now going to grab, this is going to be the worst show and tell ever because it's on
we'll have
radio.
To describe it. I will describe what's... Amy's just bobbed down, talking about bobble hats, get that, to her bag where she's got
short arms, so it took a while to get there.
She has a selection of bobble hats that we, as we spoke about from the very beginning, we like a bit of merch. We love merch for all things. And we go to games and we talk about the merch we're going to buy. We don't always get it, but we do talk about it a lot. And we were very lucky, weren't we, the other week? I've got one bobble. A bobble is like waving at me like a puppet at the moment. And this one came, Danny, a guy who came in the other week from Let's Run Girls, she's appeared with two, one for each, shouldn't she?
Yes.
And I didn't bring mine today because it's at the house. But
so let me describe it to you.
Please do.
So it's sort of teal, pink and grey and white. And there were two designs, one that was more grey based, which Alex liked, and I got the sort of tealy kind of.
I liked them both. To be honest, it was hard because when you said pick, it's that was tricky.
Very, very cute. So I have that one, and Danny said, you can get this sweaty, go out running in it. So I was like, okay, I will do as I am told. So I went out running with this and like a t-shirt on, because I never know, I'm either freezing or boiling. This and a t-shirt worked well.
Do you get cold hands? I get really cold hands. I have to wear gloves, but then...
I should maybe try gloves, actually. Yeah, because I don't want a coat on.
But gloves that you can press your phone on, like they've got special magic finger gloves. I don't know what they're called, but they've got a special...
I know what you mean, I've seen them.
So, run with that. I also find a buff around my neck keeps me...
Oh, like a snood?
Well, no, it's like this. It's like it's much thinner than a snood's like woolly, isn't it?
It's like a polo, not a polo neck. What are they called when they go around your neck?
Well, it's buff. I mean, it's a snood probably, yeah. But it's a runner's one, don't you know? And I think it's if you keep your wrists warm and your neck warm, apparently, and the top of your head, that's meant to be, and then keep the rest of you warm. I don't know why.
There we go.
There's no science. Well, there is probably science.
Thank you for the advice,
okay,
Alex.
thank you.
I will follow it.
Yes, I haven't tried that bobble hat yet, but it's to do with hair. How I usually have my hair tied up, so I have to think about plaiting it first.
Yeah, I tend to have a low plait when I'm out running, or it's too heavy if it's on top of my head. This is the second bobble hat selection, yes. Alex, which is
much
a
smaller
bobble hat. It's a small, yes, it is a smaller bobble. And if you haven't seen the Kodiaks play or seen their
this is the ice hockey, Cambridge ice hockey team.
Cambridge ice hockey, Kodiaks. We will be speaking to Captain Christina Ashley later. They are sort of dark blue, red, and gold are their colours. And this, I really like how they have the Kodiaks in the bobble hat.
Yes, I was going to say the difference between this one and the Let's Run Girls is the Let's Run Girls got a tiny little thing with their LRG on it, hasn't they? This one you cannot be. You wouldn't know that there's no way you wouldn't know that it was for the Kodiaks, would you?
And didn't they say when Christina and Sarah came in that one of the names wasn't it the Cabbages?
Well, that was one of the names when they were thinking of a name. Yeah, that wouldn't have been so good.
Can you imagine if that had been the Kodiaks? And you've got the little bear on there.
It's got a nice bear on it as well.
So very good. And
smaller bobble, but very loud name across it. You couldn't know who you weren't supporting for.
And it's sort of on the hat. Sort of as part of this. It's knitted in. Yes, it's knitted in. It looks really cool. And Christina told me today they sold out of bobble hats.
So you didn't buy me one, did you?
I didn't get you one. But
see, I did see you there. So on Instagram, Amy Amy's been able to go to the 2 games and I haven't, and I've got FOMO there. And not only was she sitting in the game, she was sitting in the game with her bobble hat on, and I don't think I didn't notice.
Yeah, and my dog.
And I was like, and your lovely cute dog as well. But yes, I was like, oh, that'd be nice. You should bring one of those in for me. Oh, hang on.
Well, they'll be restocked for the next game on the 14th. So
right,
but they've been popular, Alex.
I might have to put in an order for one so they don't sell out again.
And so shall we talk now about Cambridge United women, Alex?
Yeah.
So they got to the final of the plate, last year. And on Sunday, this was yesterday, December the 1st, travelled to AFC Bournemouth in the quarterfinals for this year. And there was a goal from Charlotte Gillies on 55 minutes, but it was a 2-1 loss, and it was the 82nd minute that Bournemouth scored. So they did get one back, but as we'll hear from Liz, they're a real quality side, and we had to travel, and they didn't have to travel. So it was a tough game from them, and I asked Liz Pamplin for her assessment of the game.
Really tough, competitive game. It was quite a bad day weather-wise, and we were playing on a grass pitch, so it was the kit is nice and muddy, but the girls gave absolutely everything that they had. Bournemouth are a very good side, and they've lost once this season, and that was what put them in this cup in the first place. So, we couldn't be proud of the girls. Worked really, really hard, gave it everything, but just fell a little bit short at the end of the day, and we came back from Bournemouth. Unfortunately, long trip back after being knocking out of the plate, but no, as I said, the girls were superb, gave absolutely everything, and we couldn't ask for more than that. And
they scored on 12 minutes. What was our response like?
Good. We let them score a free kick from a corner that we didn't really mark up properly, but then the girls were then got back into the game a little bit more. They'd been quite dominant for the first bit of the game, and I think the goal that they scored kind of sparked us into life a bit. We had a few opportunities in the first half to perhaps equalise, although we didn't quite get that goal in the first half. But yeah, it was a bit of a wake-up call for us to get going again for the rest of that first half. So yeah, good response to the goal.
And after half-time, we came back on 10 minutes later, goal from Charlotte Gillies.
Yeah, Char doesn't score that often. We played her at wing-back this week, and she popped up at the far post just in the nick of time, exactly where we needed her. It's a brilliant cross from Eva that Char's just got herself on the end of, in what's a different role for her at wing-back. So we were really delighted with that, and she was really pleased with the goal.
And then 82 minutes, they unfortunately went ahead to make it 2-1. What was that goal like?
It was a shame. There was a soft free kick on the edge of the box, and the girls stepped up, and you could have seen as good as that in the Premier League. It was a curler into the top corner that no goalie can save, up and over the wall in the very top corner. So yeah, when those things happen, you have to hold your hands up and say, yeah, that was a great goal, and it kind of befits winning any match, really.
Tell us, on the plus side, Liz, we did have some returning players who had been injured. Who did we have back?
Yeah, Alicia's been out for the better part of a month and a half with concussion, and she was back. She played a full 90 minutes, and Alicia's such a clever player, and when she comes in, she really makes us tick and finds passes that make us a bit more progressive. So had a really good game and lasted the 90. And Sammy has been out similar time, a month and a half. And Sammy was back on the pitch, and being her usual tenacious self, she came on with about 30 minutes to go and just got about a bit and caused a bit of trouble, which is just what we need sometimes.
Well, it was a fair way to travel. It sounds like we gave it everything. It wasn't to be. So let's turn our attention back to the league, which does it feel like a while since we had a league game?
Well, it does. In this part of the season, the cup games come so frequently that the league games feel like, all of a sudden there's a league game, and you put everything into the cup games, and sometimes that means the league form isn't always as good as it could be. So it's nice to be back in the league now and kind of put the cups to bed a little bit until after Christmas again, when the county cup starts.
So we've got Actonians away on Sunday. Can you tell us a bit about them?
Yeah, Actonians are a really good side. We played them the first game of the season and we lost 1-0. But we had a good game that day, but they scored on a counter-attack. But I felt they were a good side, that they're very defensively organised and they've got quick forwards. And actually it's proven to be true, because they've been top of the league a couple of weeks ago. They're now just second to Rail Bedford. So this will be a really tough test, because they've got a good strong side and they've had a good first start to the season.
And what's the winter Christmas schedule looking like for the U's?
Yeah, so 15th, the week after, we're at home for the final home game of the year. We play Norwich, and again, tough side Norwich. That'll be a tough game. Then we have a little bit of a winter break, and we come back. We'll be back in training the 2nd of January, because our first game after Christmas is the 5th of January. So, yeah, we get back into it. But the girls have a couple of weeks off. Hopefully don't eat too much and keep themselves fit, ready for that really early game on the 5th of January.
No huge Christmas dinners. We've just had a few snacks here, haven't we, from Lucy Malazzo's show?
We're very pleased about those. But yeah, that is hard, and I think it's hard for all footballers, because they seem to play either on Boxing Day or Boxing Day and right through that time, don't they?
Yeah, a lot of sports are playing around at that time. And Liz mentioned one of our league rivals, I suppose, Norwich. We've seen a couple of games against them, haven't we, Alex? Unfortunately, we did lose them. Norwich are a very good team. They lost in the Plate as well in the quarterfinals to the Southampton Academy team. The Plate is tough. It's a knockout game, and they didn't get through either. But maybe next time we'll beat Norwich.
Yeah, we'll have to do. Yeah,
we do a win against Norwich, aren't we?
Onward and upward. Yeah, we do, because last time it was very close, wasn't it?
It was the Cup was actually the last one we saw.
Sorry,
but then we'd seen the league game, the first game,
right at the beginning,
hadn't we? When we first started the Women's Sports Mix, we had Liz in, didn't we, to talk about that game. Let's have a look at Cambridge City women now. They were in the Eastern Region WFL Shield. This was the previous weekend, so we're talking November 24th for this. That was against AFC Dunstable, who I want to say Histon Ladies won against a few weeks back. Cambridge City won this on penalties. It was 1-1, and then penalties was 3-1, and it said on their socials that it was horrendous weather too, so well done team for that one. Is that their third penalty shootout? And they've won 2 out of the 3 for Cambridge City women. So they've been practicing their penalties.
They've definitely got some knack for the penalties, haven't they?
There's something there. And let's have a look at Histon Ladies. Alex, I have a geography question.
Oh no.
So
I'm not sure I can answer it, but we'll give it a go.
We have a Norfolk team, which are the ones I know, and you tend not to know. But let's see.
Okay.
Let's Mulbarton.
Never heard of it.
See, I thought when I saw
Mulbarton.
Yeah, it's on the way to Norwich. It's much closer to Norwich. I thought my dad might have played for Mulbarton, because I remember going there, I mean, in the 90s, I guess, to watch him play with his Sunday League team. So I checked with him, but he said he didn't actually play for Mulbarton. He played for a couple of teams, but they often played Mulbarton. So I did go there.
So you had the name, but it was for the wrong reason.
As the away team. And he actually played at what is now the Nest, where you went to see Norwich women. It wasn't owned by Norwich City then, but he played there as well. He had a couple of teams that he played for. So there we go.
Go Amy's dad,
Yeah, if you want to know
brilliant.
about what my dad's doing in Sunday League League football in Norfolk in the 90s. There we go. We've got the information. Okay, so Histon ladies, they were going to play Mulbarton, but they actually had to postpone that game
because, that for the weather? No?
Because of the weather. That game was waterlogged pitch, and also had been the previous week, the Histon ladies, that had been a waterlogged pitch as well. It happens, doesn't it, when it's
this time of year,
in this kind of weather. But let's just mention Histon ladies devs. They got their first win of the season. 2 goals from Emily Howe, 1 from Emily White. It's really good, isn't it, that Histon ladies have this dev squad. It's more opportunities.
Dev, for those that are not sure, that's development team.
So it's the development team.
Just being too cool to actually say the whole word.
It's extra. They're actually, the devs is their sort of team name.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's more opportunities, isn't it?
Yeah,
to go out and get experience.
The thing is, you're never going to get experience if you're not having the games, are you? You can practice and do stuff as much as you like, but till you get actually into competitive games, it changes everything, doesn't it? So and that's for everything.
It's very good that a club like Histon Ladies have this structure in place that they can have the devs team too. Okay, should we go ice hockey now?
Well, I'm just going to ask you one question. So I've got this is a geography question for you, really.
Oh gosh,
no, it's not that. It's not really.
I'm scared.
But Cambridge City men have a new football ground.
They do
in Sawston. So when are the ladies going to be playing there?
Yeah, I don't actually know what the answer to that is.
No,
Alex.
We need to push them on that one, I reckon.
So let's see. Yeah, and we'd love to. Hopefully, we'll have Cambridge City in soon. Love to speak to them, wouldn't we? Because we've been.
But hopefully,
them.
they're going to be keen to get the women's team sort of affiliated to them, so that then they can get the people down there. I'm going to say Sawston's quite an easy place to get to as well.
Exactly. I think people will want to go down, and the women's team have, they've really picked things up this season.
Yeah.
People are going to want to go and see them. So let's find out more about that, Alex. I think, that's something that's
our mission, everybody.
That's what we.
If you know anything about it, we are going to push for that.
So let's have a look at the Kodiaks now. This is Cambridge's women's ice hockey team. We've had them before on the Women's Sports Mix. You know they give everything to every game.
Absolutely.
We know this from speaking to them. They work so hard for each other, and they have had some incredible results this season. Over the last 2 weekends, they've played Coventry Phoenix. Do you remember on our last episode, head coach George Alley explained to us that we have the league, and then there's also a cup, but the cup's kind of a league too. It's not a knockout round. It's kind of a
so it's not like the FA Cup type thing.
So if you win the league, you win the cup. Yeah. So it's more like a lot of competitions do this now, where they do have the sort of league side of things.
So if you win the league, you win the cup.
So yeah, if
they're
you
not
win the cup league.
Oh, see.
So I'm using the word league confusingly. So they're in their league.
Yeah, no.
And they're in a cup, but the nature of the cup is like it's
a league.
Yeah. So they're looking to be top of that, and then they win that particular cup pool that they are in. And Coventry Phoenix, they had home and away, and it was November the 23rd, the game I went to, the home game. That was a 7-3 win. And then away at Cov, Kodiaks won 11-0. So very comprehensive win.
They are really smashing it, aren't they?
They're doing really well. And I spoke to Captain Christina Ashley about those 2 cup wins, starting with the most recent away win.
It was a really interesting game. Because we are away, every time we're away, it always kind of adds an extra layer of difficulty to the match. But we started off really strong, 5 goals in the first period, and then we just kind of kept the momentum throughout the game, which was nice to see. We were a bit slower than I think we probably would have liked to be, but it was nice to see every line working really well together, everybody kind of playing in unison. We had some really great cycling, which is kind of moving the puck down low and keeping possession in their end. So it was a nice win to come away with.
And this was a big win for us, wasn't it? Was it 11-0?
Yeah, 11-0, which is our largest win of the season so far. It's not our largest win ever, but it is, obviously it's a very comfortable win. But it's nice to know that, shots are kind of finding their mark more and more. So we had 94 shots on goal, which is, kudos to their goalie, because that's a lot of shots to take on.
Is that a lot? What would be a normal amount that you get?
It's great for us to have 94 shots. We've been averaging between the 60s and the 80s, which is really, that's where you want to be. The more shots, the better, because obviously the more chance to go in. There's a famous saying that 1 in every 10 goes in, but obviously we'd like if it was a lot more than 1 in every 10, which is what happened this week.
It sounds like it was, I watched the home game against Coventry Phoenix, and that was a slightly tighter score, but it felt like you had a lot of the possession and were quite dominant. Did you have a lot of the possession as well at Coventry at their home ground?
Yeah, we kept possession, I'd say probably 80 to 90% of the time. We were really tight with that and making sure that we kind of kept it into their zone. Our D did a fantastic job. Beth, number 13, she was on fire with keeping it in the blue line kind of thing. So, and our defenders are always really great at that, which is, as a forward, it's lovely to know you can trust the people that are behind you.
And tell me about these pictures I've seen of the spooky fog on the ice. Where did that come from?
So it's something that happens when it gets too warm, basically, in the rink. You get this fog coming in. So either a door was left open or something has happened with their climate system. It got so bad you almost couldn't see the far corner, basically, as you're playing. So you're kind of going, I really hope I'm putting the puck in the right spot. I really hope someone's there to pick it up. And from the bench, it was hard to tell when we had possession or didn't have possession.
And you were all skating around to try to get it to lift?
Yeah,
like a team
to try and kind of move the air, get things going. I've never had it happen before. I've played in some pretty, what I guess you guys would describe as dodgy rinks, but I've never had that happen before. So it was definitely an interesting way to end the game.
And is it the Zamboni that couldn't help?
No, definitely Zamboni can. I mean, the Zamboni would have helped the ice conditions. When you don't have ice cuts between periods, it gets really choppy and a lot of snow, which slows the puck down. But no, I think it probably would have just added to the problem at this point.
I think when you're in the crowd, you end up transfixed by the Zamboni. Do you find? You probably don't because you're a player, but you end up watching it.
I mean, my son would love to drive the Zamboni and he's 5. So
I bet.
I think it's a universal thing.
And let's talk about the shutout for Cherry.
Cherry had a fantastic game. I mean, she's really great behind you because you can hear her all the time. What a lot of people, I don't think, realize with hockey is you have to be really loud on the ice. You have to communicate because you're all so spread out, and your goalie drives that. And Cherry's done a fantastic job of that, and she got her a shutout, which is incredible. It's really great for her.
And Ellie Goldstone was player of the match, player of the game, I think you say, don't you?
Yeah, player of the game.
What were some standouts from Ellie's performance?
She had a beautiful goal, unassisted, walked in, and I mean, just buried it, which is fantastic. She has grown incredibly since starting with us, and just in general, she's a fantastic athlete. So I think it was really nice to see her kind of be recognized for the efforts that she put in over the game.
And if we look back to that home win against Coventry Phoenix, that I said a lot of possession, I think sometimes with that, and I know that with your team, you've got such a strong work ethic, you really have to stay focused if you're attacking all the time and you're the goalkeeper and you're in defence, because they had a sting in their tail. They had some quality, didn't they? So when they got their chances, they were they had the goal in their sights.
Yeah, they were really ready to jump on it. I do not know how our goalies do it sometimes, because you have to keep your head in the game all the time. Even as a forward or a D, you have to be present. You can't. The moment you lapse is the moment that things happen, and that's what happened in our home game. Was any kind of lapse in judgment that we had, they took advantage of that, as they should. So we just need to really work on making sure that constantly zoned in, and then that way you can dominate 100% of the time rather than kind of being put on the back foot. And
we had Julia Mabry picked up player of the game then. What did you think of Julia's performance?
Julia is a standout for sure. I mean, she's a new addition to the team this year, the best person and the most beautiful skater. She worked incredibly hard in that game, and then she had a game after, actually, even with the women's blues. So I mean, she was just absolutely so exhausted, but she gave it her everything like she does every game. So it was great that she got it.
She was very good. You were very good as well. Sarah, who we had on the women's sports mix, definitely a standout too. And Alicia Anderson was very good in that game. And at one point, she was in their goal.
Yeah. So Alicia is very kamikaze. She is, I mean, one of the fastest people and just such great hands. She's a pleasure to play with. She used to be a goalie. So she did, most of her career as an elite, and not just like any goalie, like an elite top level back in Canada. She's another fellow Canadian, which is great to have on the team.
I will say she was basically helping with the attack from Coventry Phoenix. She wasn't just randomly in the back of the goal. They were she was working hard for the team, and we had, I think, great support on the night as well. Having been to your Halloween game, which was you had all the games and the cakes and everything. I don't think the support was. I think it was about the same. Felt similar for this game as well.
Yeah, actually, we had comparable numbers. we've done really well this year, where we've surpassed every game that we had last year as well in terms of numbers and support. So we want to keep building that. There's other teams in the league now that are also charging the door and that are bringing more people in. So it's really nice to see that Cambridge is getting behind us.
And what does the support mean to the team when you can see everyone there, hear them cheering?
It's the best atmosphere. The biggest difference between our home game versus Coventry and our away game is that Coventry was dead. It was just so quiet. Nobody was cheering except for our side, which was, our small contingent that came with us. So when you're at home and you have that support, it spurs you on, it gets you going, and it just makes the game that much more fun. We love playing in front of a large crowd.
Well, I will say, if you're interested in going to the ice hockey, now is a great time to go. And it's not just that you're winning, it's that the performances are great, and it's a joy to watch and it's entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, we try our best for sure, but we're getting better and better each day as a team, which is really lovely to see, and working even harder. We've got our upcoming game, which is going to be a really difficult challenge for us. So it's nice to see that we're putting on a show for everybody, but that we're also doing it really well.
So let's look ahead. So the Coventry Phoenix, both of those were cup games. We're back in the league now. Is it Slough Sirens that we have next?
Yeah, so we've got Slough Sirens, and they are a contender for top spot in the league. So we want to kind of keep the winning streak. We said at the very beginning we would like to win everything. So that's our goal, which means we really have to step up and prove that we deserve it, basically.
Thank you to Kodiaks captain Christina Ashley. And Alex, I was at the game, as I mentioned to Christina, with my partner and our friends. And very early on in the first period, my friends pointed out a player and they said, she's very good control. It was number 66, Christina Ashley.
Oh, look at that.
Such a quality
Well,
player.
I mean, I love that. She says we have set ourselves the task to win everything. I mean, that's the way to do it. They are not messing about, are they?
That's the mindset they're in. And Christina got 4 goals and 3 assists at the away game. But as they always say, it's a team effort. And Julia Mabry got 2 goals and 1 assist at the home game. She was a player of the game. They are giving everything. And as I said to Christina, it's not just that they're winning, it's how they're performing. It's a great time to get behind the Kodiaks. And they are at the Ice Arena on Newmarket Road. That's Saturday, December the 14th against Slough Sirens.
That sounds brilliant. You're listening to the Women's Sports Mix with Alex and Amy. And up next, we spoke to Nicole Hawksworth, the under-14s coach for football at Milton Colts in October, and we were fascinated by her story, so we thought it'd be good to hear it again.
Welcome to the show, Nicole Hawksworth.
Hi, thank you for having me on.
Nicole is the coach and manager for the under-14s at Milton Colts FC. Could you tell us first, overall, what's Milton Colts? Because it's quite a big club, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big club for a small village in Cambridge, just north of Cambridge City. So now we have 17 mixed boys and girls teams across the club and across age ranges from sort of under 7s through to under 18 ladies. And we have 5 or 6 girls teams now, and the rest are boys, all mixed teams. So some of the girls play in boys teams, but now we do have fully dedicated girls.
Is the mixed teams for the younger, or is it can it go all the way up?
So we do have some girls that play with the boys up until about 13, 14. It tends to be 1 or 2 girls rather than 50-50 or anything like that. But some of the girls just prefer to play in a boys' league. Some of the girls play with a boys' league and then also play in the girls as well. So we have a few in the club that do both. It's quite good for their development, really, because they get to be a little bit more physical with the boys and learn maybe some of the different sort of technical skills that they might not develop as much as a girls at younger age. So when they come into a girls team, they tend to bring the sort of technical components in there, but they gel well with the boys as well because they bring a lot more of the teamwork into the teams. They've got a lot less ego, so they tend to distribute the ball well and make good team players. So it's quite nice to have that balance. Yeah.
And how did you get into coaching, and when did you join Milton Colts?
I'm just trying to think. So I started with volunteering really when my daughter was, I think she was in year 4, so she would have been 7 or 8. When I first sort of introduced her to the idea of playing football, she said that it was a boys' sport and there was no way that she would. And at the time we were starting a Wildcats programme within Milton Colts, which basically gives opportunities to girls from the age of 4 to 11, 12, to play football in a safe, fun environment. And it had been started a couple of years ago by one of our female coaches, Birgit. And anyway, I persuaded her after a little while of coaxing. We managed to get her there with a few of her friends, same age group. And within a few minutes of playing and having fun and scoring a couple of goals, they were hooked. And I sort of spent most of my Saturdays then being a volunteer.
Were you playing football before, or what made you interested in getting her involved in football? I'm interested to hear that.
So I grew up, like many other women, not being able to play football, really, and not having the opportunity to play, but always wanting to. Both my dad and my granddad, both heavily involved in football. My granddad played for Everton and Ireland, and also Preston North End. So
impressive.
I kind of feel like it's in our family a little bit.
What's his name?
Peter Core. So he's a bit of a legend.
I mean, exactly. And the thought that you must have grown up a little bit excluded from that must have been hard in a way.
Yeah, well, I grew up in Germany as well. Football's huge in Germany, as it is here. There were opportunities, obviously, to learn to play and to play for teams in Germany, but you had to be a boy most of the times. And if you weren't a boy, then you had to kind of stereotypically be a girl boy, and I didn't really fit that at all, but I really wanted to play. But luckily my dad used to take us out all the time at the weekends and play and just kick the ball around, and I just had fun doing it. He never made it, he always made it an open opportunity for me to do that. And when I went to university, that's when I joined a women's football.
Was that here
team.
Or in Germany?
That was in London. So Middlesex University, I joined their football team there.
Yeah, they've got a big sports team.
They've got great big sports facilities there. Really great opportunity there for me. And we were coached by one of the Arsenal football coaches, a male, but he was brilliant actually, and he got me back into football and gave us the opportunity to play. And one tiny little claim to fame is that I featured in a music video for Toka's Miracle, which was
look at
Fragma.
Wow. Did you see that?
Oh my God.
Did you see Amy jump out of her seat at that moment?
That's so cool.
Yeah, the reason I mention it is because they came to Middlesex University, a few different locations around London, looking for a sports facilities that they could fit, a women's football team that they could feature as part of the video for the song. And Middlesex University was chosen, and they asked for some of the players to audition.
Fantastic.
And I was chosen, so I got to be in that. So yeah, it's kind of always been in my blood, I think. It's always been something that I've loved. And then having children, I have to admit I was a bit sort of sad when I realised I was having girls and not boys. And
because you thought they wouldn't have the opportunity to play football.
100%.
Yeah.
I didn't, at the time, I didn't think that it would be a possibility. And I was always quite envious of the parents who, spent their Saturdays watching and cheering on from the sidelines while their children played football, or any team sport really, but football in particular. Mm-hmm. And so when I heard about Wildcats and the programme that Milton Colts had established and the opportunities it had for my daughter, I wanted to get involved. And like I said, it took a little bit of coaxing, but once her and her friends were hooked and I got more involved in the volunteering there, I then took upon my level 1 coaching with the FA so that I could develop my coaching skills and just be a bit more sort of hands-on with the girls and their development. And I then ran Wildcats myself, so I superseded the coach that was running it the year before me. I ran the Wildcats programme for a year, and then from there I took 10 or 11 of the girls that I'd been working with over the last over that season, and formed under 10 girls team, which are now my under 14 girls team.
Yeah,
so I've taken them
across. That. You move up with them, don't you? So.
Yeah, I progressed with them, and they've stayed. I'd say the core team have stayed with me, including the 3-4 girls that started at Wildcats with me. So it's been quite a journey and quite good fun.
This often happens, isn't it? That it's for progress to be made, it's people like you that didn't have it, and then you give to the next generation, and it's sad really that you missed out, but also look at what you've been able to do so other girls don't have to do that.
I was also going to ask if you think that you might do some more of the coaching qualifications and take it further into the sport. Now there's a lot more opportunities available. Or refereeing.
Well, yeah. I mean, so funny you should say that. I'm currently halfway through my UEFA C licence, which is the equivalent to level 2. It's a lot more in depth and goes into much more of the kind of development side of psych coaching and developing skillful players, and just being a lot more sort of focused on how do we take, the players and build and develop them on their journey to hopefully become, maybe become professional amateur footballers in their adult life, or just generally keep them in football, which is my biggest goal really, is just to keep the girls playing for as long as possible.
And keep them fit and healthy going in as they get older, because saying the drop-off at 14 is often very, into puberty. Often a lot of girls drop out of sport, full stop.
Yeah, so I went to a conference with women in sport at the beginning of this month, and an alarming statistic was that 1.3 million girls who previously loved sport drop out during their teenage years, and for me that's quite an alarming statistic, and I don't really want that to happen. So anything I can do to kind of keep the girls that I have some influence over involved or participating and enjoying sport for as long as possible, the better really.
Well, there's so much more opportunities because of people like yourself. You were saying if there's people more getting into coaching and at a good level, not just shouting kick it up the end or whatever, actually knowing what they're talking about. And you were talking to me just before we came on about how you've brought in a personal trainer to work with the girls as well, because strengthening in other parts of it, so that they're getting an all-round exercise as well, not just because we were saying about injury in sport. It's so important to have that strengthening training and other exercises aside, just not just again, but the running up and down. You need to have the
stamina and the conditioning. Yeah, exactly. And there's a huge amount of research at the moment into injuries, particularly in women and teenagers. I have one of my girls who's currently out because she hurt her ligament in her knee and couldn't play and could barely walk on it. And so for me, making sure the girls are warming up properly, cooling down properly, that are prioritising their body and their physical strength and conditioning is really important. So yes, luckily for us, I met somebody a few weeks ago who's a personal trainer called Sophie, and she specialises in women and girls, and she wants to get more involved in the female sports and making sure that we keep the girls and women injury free, or at least rehabilitating quickly so they can come back to sport as quickly as possible, because the last thing you want is somebody to injure themselves and that be the end of their sporting journey. So yeah, it's really important for me. So she started with us a few weeks ago and has been invaluable really already. So and the girls love her.
It brings someone else for you to work with and share ideas on warm-ups. And you were saying it's she's doing different types of warm-ups, but anyone, when you go to something and that someone found something from somewhere else, and it's like, oh, that's good, because that will actually increases what the knowledge is of my own knowledge of it.
Exactly. And it's a good role model for the girls as well, and they sort of, if they can see people taking responsibility for their own health and well-being, then they're more likely to do so. So yeah, it has been a really valuable addition to my coaching team anyway. So,
and it's a lot of thought going into grassroots football, isn't it? There's a lot of people putting a lot of effort into making sure, like you said, it's not just you're playing the game, you're thinking through everything about having girls doing sport. So I think if you've got a child that you're looking at grassroots football, this is sort of shows that they're in good hands.
We don't the philosophy for developing players is more than just the technical aspects of the football. It goes into the psychological sides of things. It goes into their emotional development and also their social. And for me as a coach, to develop a player, I have to look at how I develop each player, each of the different individuals that I have on my team and cover each of those four sort of quadrants, which make your kind of whole player. So you might have a player that's very technically astute, but they might struggle emotionally, or they might struggle with the teamwork side of things. So it's not just looking at how they play football, but actually how do they integrate, how do they develop, how do they react when we lose,
And that must be quite common as I mean, for all ages as well, of adult footballers too.
That's good. That's good training, and the fact that you're coaching them, and you're also recognising that isn't just a win. It isn't just that it's all part of the, like you say, making the team work as a team, because it's all very good, having very good strikers, but if the defence is rubbish or whatever, you really can't. Yeah. You can't afford to do that, can you?
No.
Or your team then gets disheartened because they're not winning the games they want to, where they feel they should. Whatever. There's all that sort of thing going on, isn't there?
Exactly, and it's building resilience and confidence in the girls as well, and just being able to get them to recognise when they may have not played their best, or if there's something that's underlying that's stopping them from performing well, that they're able to kind of talk about it and work it through, and we can build on whatever it is that they need extra guidance on or help with or support with as well. So being able to sort of spot when things aren't
and in
quite
those
going right
teenage years, I mean, that's really brilliant for building their resilience, and they're not easy, those teenage years.
No.
None of us find it. So having people like yourselves to be able to, outside of your parents and outside of your family circle, to be able to kind of support you and know that they're there in a safe space to do it, I think that's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've come through a particularly kind of rocky period with my girls in their kind of like coming out of their childhood into adolescence. So the last couple of years were quite challenging from an emotional side of things, really, and the girls finding their way through. But I have such a good relationship and rapport with the girls that it helps me kind of understand them and provide for what they need. And I have developed my coaching sessions, the training sessions that we do, to be much more kind of social and fun and inclusive, so that nobody feels left out. We address any poor behaviour or any kind of like behaviour that you don't want. So we do have values within our team that we try to upstill, and the girls, they've worked with me on those as well, so they know them and they want to uphold them. So yeah, there's a lot of work that goes on behind the game. And actually to be honest with me, it's probably the more important side of the game, because I think anyone can teach someone to play football, but it's actually all the aspects that go into developing an individual. And
they'll take that through in whatever, if they come on to go play professionally or amateur, or if they go into university and they want to play in team sports, they will know what's what, even if they're not even in the sport, but in any sort of social situation, that's going to help.
Yeah,
and in works environment.
Exactly. I think if you can play a team sport, then you're already a team player. And I think for a lot of companies and employers, they're looking for those attributes. They're looking for people who are resilient. They're looking for confident people. They're looking for people who can work well in a team, that understand and are inclusive. And the football that we provide at grassroots level, particularly with Milton Colts as well, because our ethos is to be inclusive and provide opportunities for all individuals of all levels and abilities. And these children go on to be leaders and business owners and entrepreneurs and scientists and artists, and you name it. They go on to be real creators in their adult life. And this is an important thing to remember.
Fantastic.
That's why you're doing what you do, really.
What's the schedule like for one of your girls in the under-14s? How often are they training and playing?
So at this level that at grassroots level, you would normally have one training session a week with a match on a Saturday. And the training is about an hour and a half. But then quite a few of the girls who are really keen and really want to develop their football may do some of the local regional development centres. So with Cambridge United, they run a development programme for girls particularly. They also have an elite pathway as well for slightly more talented players. And then Norwich City have the same. So there's other programmes that run sort of in parallel, but what they want is for the individuals that come to play there that actually then have a team that they play for on a Saturday. So they get a lot of the sort of technical training and skillful training, but then they encourage them to be part of a team. So yeah, there's a lot of parallel clubs out there that are supporting the girls' pathways into football.
And are there many other women coaches across grassroots?
It's definitely increased in number over the certainly since I've been coaching for the last 6 years. I've seen a huge incline in women coaches. Not as many as I'd like. Like I say, on my UEFA course, we walked into a room full of men. Oh. And it was myself and a co-coach and 2 other females in a room of 20. Luckily, very, very supportive and very I felt very welcomed there, but it would be nice to see more females coaching. In our club, particularly Milton Colts, we have a very healthy ratio of women to male coaches and managers, and we all balance the responsibilities really well. So it's quite nice. There's quite a lot of teams that have a female and a male.
I mean, hopefully people are listening to this and thinking, yeah, maybe I could get involved. I think we could speak to Nicole all day. Nicole, thank you so much for letting us know about your role at Milton Colts. We've absolutely loved having you on.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You are listening to the Women's Sports Mix with Amy and
Alex.
And thank you to Nicole Hawksworth for that interview. And something that Nicole had mentioned when she was in was the Milton Colts women's team, and we totally had run out of time to talk about it, but I do have a bit of information. If you're over 18 looking for a club, and I was actually speaking to someone who said that they'd had a daughter and they could see the progression through teen years, but they weren't then sure what they would do sort of when they're over 18. So Milton FC run an over 18s ladies football team at the Sycamores Rec in Milton. It's Sundays at 10 a.m. They are looking for players. You can be a beginner, you can be a returning player looking to get back, you could be Alex Elbrew.
When I hear beginner and like training, I'm like, oh, that sounds good. And then
well, there we go.
Well, let's wait for the. I see. I'm a bit of a wimp. I don't really want to be running around in this cold and wet.
Well, we can have your bobble hat on. So
true, very
you'll
true.
Be fine. So if you are interested in that and you do want to get involved, you can contact Birgit Meldal at miltoncoltsfc.com. If you go on their website, you can select Birgit from the list of contacts. So, oh my gosh, how are we? I don't know. Not have any time left on the show. So many things
that talk
we
of bobble hats.
I mean, we talked for at least 35 minutes about bobble hats.
Exactly.
Which is obviously important.
And let's see by next time how many bobble hats we got more for. Like it's the whole of like Christmas presents.
Be like Amy 3 hats.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Did you buy any sports stuff in the? Oh, actually, I did buy something.
What did you get
in Black Friday? Well, as long as my son and his partner aren't listening, we bought some paddle rackets because they started playing and they're all into it. And they asked they'd like a thing for Christmas. So I thought, well, let's have a look. And I managed to get a couple. I mean, I don't know about paddle. We are planning to get somebody a coach from it, hopefully.
Yes,
in the new year,
wouldn't we?
So if you do play or you know any coaches of paddle. I think it's just called paddle, isn't it?
I think it's just paddle.
Or padel. It's spelt padel. But anyway, so we did buy something. But late last night when I realised that the offer was going to go out, like within an hour. So it was very talk about an impulse buy, but
stressful, these sales.
I've saved at least £1 or something probably.
Well done you. And we were going to look at fantasy WSL.
Oh yeah.
So we'll have a quick look. But
I'm going to look at mine now.
This is funny. I said to Alex earlier, I said my team's not doing very well. I said where we messed up was that there was a double game week last week. And Alex said, and did not tell me, she was like, I knew about that.
Well, I'm going to say, you're always beating me, so I'm not going to be giving you any things. You'd have beaten me.
Information to herself.
Well, I didn't really realise. I mean, as I said to you, some of the players that I realised when it was a double game was on that day, and I only had like one transfer. So I could only transfer to one player that was playing double, and then some of them got zero anyway.
A power up or something.
Yeah, and I don't really understand what all those ones. I hardly ever use those till later.
I still need to use all of mine.
This week, I actually got 77 points, average of 64, so that's good for me. I'm still below you. I'm trying to claw it back, but I had Millie Bright as my vice captain.
She saved my team. Millie Bright was the only
player. And she got 16 points.
Yeah.
And then I had Maya Letizier as my captain now.
Yep.
See, that's it. That's why I'm not going to tell you. And then she was my captain, so she got me 18 points.
You captained Letizier, okay.
Yeah.
She's no relation. I don't think she's any relation of.
Well, I don't know.
Matt Letizier.
I always think she must be because of her name. But then also that doesn't mean the football rubs off on you, does it? I know that's the other thing I've learnt. I did change my goalkeepers a couple of games ago because I was having a dreadful time. I think one of my goalkeepers got injured or something, or they were never playing, having like read all the stats up on them before I started.
I've got the Chelsea keeper.
So far. Of course we have. Hannah Hampton. And who have you got as your... Yeah, see, I'm having a bit of a problem with Lauren James. She's not doing very well.
Yeah,
I think she must be injured or something.
And she did have 2 games.
To be fair, I put her on the bench. She got 13 points. There you go. That's always... If I put someone on the bench, they can guarantee that they'll get more points than anyone else. Yes. So if you want to join our fantasy league, I'm just about to say now, I can't remember what the name of it is.
It's on our Instagram. It's like a code, but you can check on our Instagram.
It'd be brilliant if you wanted to join the league. You can join at this time. It doesn't matter.
You'll probably win.
Yeah. Well, this is us based on very little information, but it's good fun. I like doing it, and I also then learn about all the players because it's the equivalent of the Premier League for women. So it's nobody local that I support particularly, but I do like to see them. And then there was a friendly, wasn't there? England friendly the other day. Yeah, they're good touch because then you start recognising the players and expecting what you're going to get from them.
Well, our next show, Alex, is December the 16th, where we're going to be looking back at all the great guests we've had since we started at the end of August. And that will be our last show for the year because, well, we've kind of got ourselves a little winter break, like we're athletes.
Exactly.
Which is quite funny.
And we mustn't eat too much over there because so we're back on form when we come back after the year.
We not too many chocolate coins. And you can find us on Instagram, women's_sportsmix. And we will also have the link there to the most recent episode. But you can get the podcast at cambridge105.co.uk, which will be changing actually. The URL
Cambridge Radio as of the weekend. So remember that as of December the 7th. Sorry.
But you can also look at any of your podcasting platforms. You should be able to find the Women's Sports Mix. So thank you so much for your company. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.